One of the best things about being a kid, besides the scheduled nap times that I seem to never appreciate at that age, was the opportunity to dream, to imagine what you wanted to be, to be asked that magical question, what do you want to be when you grow up? By a quick show of hands here in the audience, how many of you were asked that question at some point in your life? I know I was. And your answers probably varied. Perhaps you wanted to be a doctor, or a police officer, a firefighter, an astronaut, a pilot. Really, there's endless answers to the question, which is what makes it so magical. For me personally, I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, Kewaskum. Try saying that 5 times fast, you probably won't be able to. And as I grew up, I knew that I wanted to get out of that small town. I love it, but I wanted there to be bigger things for me. I wanted to be a race car driver. But better yet, not just any race car driver, I was going to win the Indianapolis 500 and put my small town on the map. It's what I wanted to do. It consumed my life. I grew up in a racing family. My grandpa loves racing. My dad loves racing. By default, I love racing. I'm named after a race car driver, so if that tells you anything. Now, my parents did everything that they could to help me chase that dream. When I was 4 years old, I began racing snowmobiles on the frozen lakes of Wisconsin. When I was 10, I switched to go-karts. And when I was 14, my parents decided I was ready for race cars. I was driving dirt legend cars on the tracks in Wisconsin before I could drive my parents' Volkswagen Jetta on the highway. Pretty scary thought when you look back at it. And I just continued to chase that dream from the age of 4 until I was 17. And then, one night, like for many people, my dreams changed. I remember the night very clearly. I was watching the nightly newscast with my mom sitting in the living room. And as I watched the anchor present those nightly stories, I couldn't help but be awestruck. It was amazing. The way that he was able to just present the news, to have a conversation with the viewers, it inspired me. Something clicked in my head and it said, this is what you should be doing. This is what you want to do. Now, I was pretty conflicted at the time because for the majority of my childhood and teenage years, the only thing I thought about was being a race car driver. They were my superheroes. While most kids were watching their Sunday morning cartoons, I was watching a race. Yet, I thought to myself, you're not a failure for chasing a new opportunity. It's a new possibility to present itself, something to be just as passionate about. So I began to do some research, and that research brought me here to the Hoosier State, where for the past 4 years here at Ball State University, I've studied television, news, and journalism, and have learned to fall in love with it. It's an amazing concept, journalists, something very important to today's society. Think about it. Without journalists, you wouldn't be able to open up your daily newspaper and see what's going on in the world. You wouldn't be able to turn on your talk radio and hear what's going on throughout the state or in your community. You can't come home from work and turn on the nightly news and see what's going on anywhere. Journalists put their dignity, their identity, sometimes their lives on the line to bring you stories that matter, stories that are important to society. It's an amazing concept, one that I'm so proud to be a part of. As I prepare to enter the workforce, I can't help but be inspired by my fellow students, ones that I work with every day, and see their passion, a passion that is sometimes, I think, greater than mine even. They're so excited, so inspired, so ready to bring you news that matters. Whether it's a local election, or a natural disaster, or a story about a man down the street with a really impressive button collection. They're all important in their own special way. And without journalists, you wouldn't be able to see those stories, or hear them, or view them. Now, I challenge you all, as you leave here tonight, think about where you want to be in the future. Where do you see yourselves tomorrow, or next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now? What are your dreams, and what do you need to do to accomplish them? Dreams are a very powerful concept. They inspire us to be the best possible human being that we can be, to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. I remember having the conversation with my mom a few months back, and I said, "Mom, you let me chase a dream that you knew I probably wasn't going to be able to accomplish for an extremely long time." I said, "Why didn't you say something? Say, you might want to check something else out." And she told me, she said, "I knew that at some point you would find something that you were just as passionate about as you were racing." And as I've come to learn about most mothers, she was right. I love journalism, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So I challenge you to find what you love and to work as hard as you can to be a part of it. As you race into your future, think about your dreams and what you need to do to achieve them. The world can be an extremely powerful place when it's filled with people who are chasing their dreams. Thank you.